What's happening, everybody? Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter, and welcome to today's Finest for February 6th, 2018, fueled, as always, by Nerd Teas. Today's blend, the one, the only, chocolate cake. What's that? You didn't know there was a chocolate cake flavored tea? So much to learn. Before anything else, folks, due diligence. Let's see that sub count. Again, still trickling, but at least it's trickling in the right direction. And it's as good a time as any to point out, not only am I looking for subs on YouTube, I also have a Snapchat account. A Snapchat account that's dedicated specifically to the goings-on this channel. I kind of got a little lax with it over the last few months, but I'm back. My Bitmoji game is strong. So if you have Snapchat, and I don't think I've mentioned it on this show before, add BWF_902. That Snap account name is in the description below if you didn't catch it there. Add the channel on Snapchat. You get to see all the stuff that I'm doing, some fun behind the scenes stuff, all kinds of great stuff. Make sure you add that channel, and I promise I'm going to be more active with it. Also, feel free to make fun of my Bitmoji. I don't care. I'm actually very happy and very fortunate to be able to come to you today. It's important on a day like today for me to kind of do work and have my mind occupied with things. Today's kind of a weird anniversary for me, spawned from something that's still really difficult to talk about with anyone that's not immediate family, very close friends, you know, people that know kind of what happened. Just know that you're playing a really important role in what I would call a personal healing, and I'm very grateful for that. Now, what's not difficult to talk about is that Super Bowl. Holy crap, what a game. It might be the best Super Bowl I've ever seen. Now, of course, it's worth noting that the ratings for the Super Bowl did drop 3%, so congratulations, boycotters. Congratulations on missing one of the greatest Super Bowls ever played for no real reason whatsoever. But hey, enjoy watching that replay. In other sad news, I played an 8-pick parlay ticket on the Super Bowl, just some prop bets, stuff that I actually felt pretty good about. Had the potential of paying out 50 times my investment. Very small investment, it was only like $10 or something like that. Had a chance to pay out well over $500. I got 6 of the 8 parlays right, but close does not count. Eagles obviously came into this game as big underdogs, not only from the betting perspective. I think they were plus 4.5 against the spread coming into this football game. So, you know, definitely clear underdogs. But I think in public perception, I don't think a lot of people thought the Eagles were going to win that football game when they really sat down and thought about it. And again, from the whole mentality of the underdog thing, and the Eagles, the players and their fan base, man, I tell you, they played that to a T. And, you know, for two teams that came into that game really being predicated on defense, in their previous 4 games apiece, they had been averaging less than 14 points against. So you're talking about two teams that came into that game playing pretty damn good defense. It was the most offensively explosive Super Bowl in history. This is a really mind-blowing stat, I think. In this game, either records were broken or tied 29 individual times. 29 individual Super Bowl or playoff records were tied or broken. Of course, a big storyline heading into the game, Malcolm Butler being benched from playing defense for the Patriots, only played a few snaps on special teams. There are rumors about why this happened. It was allegedly for a minor violation of a team rule. The most prevalent and the heaviest rumor is that he missed the team flight into Minnesota. My opinion is your best players play in the biggest game. They certainly could have used him on defense in this game with all the yardage and all the points that were given up really on both sides. But, I mean, the Patriots could have used the guy that made the game-winning play a few years ago to beat the Seahawks and win the Super Bowl. There's an appropriate time to handle stuff like that, and I don't think it's the Super Bowl. That's just me. Like, I'm not the coach of the New England Patriots. I'm not the GM. I'm not the owner. So I don't have a say in that. All I have is an opinion. There's other appropriate ways that you can handle a situation like that. I realize that Malcolm Butler is a free agent. The way that I would handle that is I don't re-sign him. I let him walk. And I say, like, look, you know why we're letting you walk. We have no interest in re-signing you at this time because of this violation. Brandin Cooks also exits that game early with what was being reported as a head injury. Concussion. It's a concussion. He took a really bad blindside helmet-to-helmet hit from Malcolm Jenkins. Really, really, really ugly-looking hit, and you could tell just from the second that it happened that there's definitely something wrong here. To quote former WWE professional wrestler and now concussion expert Chris Nowinski, who had his career ended by concussions, plays like that don't belong in the NFL, and the NFL has to fix that if they don't want to keep losing fans. First of all, on the hit, was it intentional? I don't believe so. Was it dirty? Yes, it was. Does it belong in the game? No, it doesn't. But back on a happier note, if you love great quarterback play, like if that really gets you going as a football fan, boy, was this ever the Super Bowl for you. I'm intentionally reading the stat off the paper because it's just... The two quarterbacks, Nick Foles and Tom Brady, combined 56 of 91, 874 yards, and 6 passing touchdowns. Plus, of course, Nick Foles' receiving touchdown. Which, by the way, shout out to the CFL's Matt Nichols and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers for pulling off basically a carbon copy, that exact same play. I believe it was earlier this regular season. Go on my Twitter account, blockbuster_guy. I retweeted the play. It's a thing of beauty. I love the CFL, and I shout him out whenever I can. So shout out to Matt Nichols and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who hashtag did it first. Speaking of great quarterback play, you can't have great quarterback play without great receivers. There were 400-yard receivers in this game. You had Clements for Philadelphia, who's a running back, and got his 100 yards on 4 receptions, I think it was. Had a big 55-yarder at one point in the game. And then, of course, the usual suspects for the Patriots, Danny Amendola, Chris Hogan, and Rob Gronkowski. Speaking of Rob Gronkowski, that man is unstoppable, and I'm not 100% sure he's human. 9 catches, 116 yards, and 2 touchdowns, the vast majority of that coming in the second half. Apparently, Rob Gronkowski is contemplating his football future. That was kind of the tone of his interview post-game, that he's kind of taking it by ear about whether he continues. I think it would be an absolute shame for the game of football to lose Rob Gronkowski on the field. But I started thinking about it. Rob Gronkowski may already be one of the greatest of all time at his position. We talk about a player that's only been in the NFL for 8 seasons, which 8 years seems like a long time, but it's not really in terms of professional athletes. And he missed significant portions of 3 of those 8 seasons. The man's played 102 regular season NFL football games and has 77 touchdowns, 1 rushing. To put it another way, Rob Gronkowski has caught 474 passes as a professional in the regular season playing the game of football. 16% of those receptions have been touchdown receptions. 16% might seem like a small number until you realize that Jerry Rice, the most prolific touchdown catcher in NFL history, sports a percentage of 12.7. But the halftime show, Justin Timberlake, I thought it was fine. It was okay. There's definitely been better halftime shows. No question about it. I think there's been worse. You know, I kind of prefer a halftime show where the performing artist sings all the time. And I get it. Like, there's so much choreography that goes into that halftime show, and he was doing so much dancing. I mean, look, you only have so much lung capacity, right? To do all that dancing and try to sing all the time. I get it. That's kind of the way I looked at this halftime show. I was like, man, this could have been a lot better if, like, it would have just been him literally at the piano that he was at when he did the Prince tribute, which, by the way, makes sense, was perfectly fine to do the Prince tribute. They were in Minnesota. It made sense. People knew he was going to do it. And there's all this complaint and outrage and this idea that Justin Timberlake is a racist. Like, just go away. Yeah, the halftime show could have been better, but again, immaculately choreographed. I thought it was fine. Let's talk for a second about Philadelphia's 2 disputed touchdowns, and this was the Clements catch in the 3rd quarter, I believe, and the Ertz catch in the 4th quarter. Look, those are both touchdowns. There's not nearly enough evidence to overturn the Clements catch in the back of the end zone. He's got control of the ball. There's not nearly enough evidence to support that he doesn't have control of the ball. That's a touchdown. The Ertz catch, I agree with the call. To me, he had become a runner, so all he's got to do is break the plane. So to me, he became a runner and he broke the plane, ergo it's a touchdown. It's not the same as the Jesse James catch. They're 2 different catches. But look, what we can all agree on, the NFL needs to sort this stuff out. The NFL needs to get specific. Specifically, this is when you have become a runner. Whether it's 2 steps or whatever it is. Specifically, this is when you are a runner. This is when this is this. They need to get very specific. And if it doesn't meet the specifications, it's not a catch. Or it's not a touchdown, or whatever it is. They need to get tremendously specific, and they need to empower their referees, because right now, it is almost impossible to be an NFL referee. No answers on defense for the Patriots, especially on 3rd and 4th down, the most critical downs of any possession. On 3rd and 4th down, the Eagles were 67%. They converted 12 times on 3rd and 4th down. Defensively, you can't win a football game like that. Nick Foles wins the Super Bowl MVP, deservedly so. Where do you think he goes from here? I mean, you can keep him as the backup, but he just won the Super Bowl MVP. He's probably good enough to be a starter in the NFL, but he's not going to be your starter. Carson Wentz is your franchise quarterback. You know Carson Wentz is your franchise quarterback. Nick Foles will not be the starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles next season. My opinion, you have to trade him. He's got 1 year left on his deal. Pretty economical deal. You have to trade him. He's never going to have a greater trade value than he has right now after just winning the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl MVP. You cannot keep Nick Foles on your roster and then next season let him walk away for nothing. It just doesn't work that way, and he's never going to have greater value than he does right now. Speaking of where do they go from here, and we'll close on this point, the New England Patriots. Where do they go from here? In my opinion, you are seeing the final days of the Patriots dynasty. You have Gronkowski, who's contemplating retirement, apparently. Tom Brady's going to be back next year, but he's going to be 41, and the returns are only going to start diminishing from here because Father Time is undefeated. There's no real backup plan at quarterback for the Patriots if and when Brady decides to leave or gets injured. Your offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniels, and your defensive coordinator, Matt Patricia, are both leaving to take head coaching jobs with the Indianapolis Colts and the Detroit Lions, respectively. So now you've got to refill your 2 most important coordinator positions as well. All great dynasties eventually fall. But the mark of true greatness is the ability to rebuild. Are the Patriots truly great? Or are they just a dynasty? So folks, clearly, I loved the Super Bowl. I thought it was a great game. I hope you guys liked it. Did you like it? Let me know in the comments below. But what I do want to talk about is what the content schedule is going to look like on the channel moving forward. What else can you look forward to aside from semi-daily Today's Finest with this face? I want to start right off by saying there's probably going to be no Olympic coverage on my channel whatsoever. The Olympics are something unique, and they're something that I just like to sit back as a fan and just consume and just let like the emotion of it and the spectacle of it. I just like to enjoy it. That being said, we have plenty coming down the pipes in the next few weeks. And that's going to kick off with the NHL trade deadline. The trade deadline is February 26th. So sometime next week, I'm going to have a video where I'm going to give my predictions for the NHL trade deadline, who I think is going where. I'm going to base that off of a couple of very popular trade bait lists and basically say, like, look, I'm no NHL insider, right? Like, I mean, I don't have GM's phone numbers. I don't know who's going to be traded. I'm going to talk about what I want to see my Montreal Canadiens do, my team, I might touch on some other players if they don't show up on lists, but we're going to have a trade deadline special, and that's going to come up sometime next week. Speaking of the NHL, playoffs predictions. As is a bit of a tradition on my channel, I do usually 2 videos, division winners and who's in, who's out. And those are definitely going to be back on the channel this season. I have a date here somewhere. Now, early March, at some point, first week of March, something like that. Speaking of March, it's the madness, NCAA March Madness Bracketology. That is coming back this year. The NCAA tournament runs from March 13th until April 2nd. Now, the problem with that is we're kind of hamstrung as to when that can start, because we won't know the teams that are in until Selection Sunday, which is March the 11th. So on March the 12th, I'm going to try to get both of those days off work. So on March the 12th is when I'm going to be putting together that special. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do it yet, but I got plenty of time to figure that out. From there, we kick right into gear with the NHL playoffs. Early April is when the playoffs are going to kick off. So we're looking at full first round NHL playoff predictions that'll come out probably a couple of days before the first round starts. And then, as is tradition with the NHL, we go round by round. And that'll go up until the Stanley Cup Finals in June. But there's another playoff that's going to be taking place around that time. The NBA. Prior to the NBA playoffs beginning, I will be doing one full bracketology style prediction for the NBA playoffs. It's just the way I like to do basketball with both the NCAA tournament and with the NBA. So we'll be going from round 1 all the way through to the NBA finals. Expect that a few days before round 1 begins. In the NFL YouTube prognosticators community, there's only a few Canadians. It's me, Gio, and a couple of other people. But I'm really the only one that acknowledges the CFL at all. Starting in mid-June, I'm going to be doing a brief YouTube exclusive CFL picks show for the beginning of the regular season, which again is right around the middle of June. It's not going to be a long show like the NFL one is. It's going to be exclusive to YouTube, just a few minutes, give my picks for the games, until eventually that gets amalgamated back into the NFL pick show when that kicks off in late August, early September. So that's the content schedule moving forward for the next couple of months. It is not comprehensive. Something could come up. I may want to talk about it. There you go. A whole new series could spawn that is not even thought of at this point. All right, folks, that's basically going to do it for the episode today. Next episode will come at some point before the weekend. And I just want to show you a couple things around town. Basically want to take you on my walk to work, walk you around my neighborhood a little bit, share some memories. And one thing that I want to show you about our town, my town, the place that I've lived and called home basically my whole life, I want to show you a riverfront park, which is a relatively new development in town. It's only been here for about the last year or so, called Bijanuiska Park, right on the riverfront of the LaHave River. So I just kind of want to show you that park. And here's your hook for next time. Aside from us taking a walk, I want to talk to you about why during the Olympics, I will not be watching a single second of NHL hockey. I'll just be making content for it. All right, folks, that is going to do it for today's Finest for February 6th, 2018. That's it for me, Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter. Guys, remember, fueled by NerdTees, nerdtees.ca. Use promo code BWFinest. Save yourself 15% at checkout. Free shipping on any order in Canada over $50. If you're an American and you're watching this, one of my American friends, you get a great conversion on the American dollar right now. I think it's like 20% or something crazy like that. Everything is in Canadian funds, so you're getting an excellent payback there on the American dollar. Plus, you can still use the promo code, save 15% at checkout. Again, make sure you add me on Snapchat as well, BWF_902, and we'll see you again before the weekend.